Greetings, wellness seekers. So I'm back to talk about my latest adventure. Today, I went to the Codependent Anonymous meeting. Um, CODA is modeled after the Alcoholics Anonymous, and they've got Narcanon and some of these other anonymous groups. And I decided to join a few months ago, a couple months ago, when I was going through a rough patch. And I was like, okay, what's going on with me right now? Like, I just seem to be scrambling and I'm caught up in everybody else's stuff. And so I pulled up this book that I'd had for years, like lying around, called Codependent No More. I think it was, yeah, Codependent No More. I forget who wrote the book, but at any rate, I had met this man who was interesting, but he was very dependent. Like he had a really dependent energy. And I noticed it, but I didn't automatically identify it. So I was cleaning up some stuff and putting away old boxes and doing some spring cleaning or what have you. And so I had these books that I was sorting through. And for some reason, I decided not to put the Codependent No More book away in the garage. I said, okay, let me look at this again. And so I started reading this book again for the second time with a fresh pair of eyes after lots of therapy and other stuff. I said, you know what? I'm codependent. Oh my God. Why? Because I was like, why am I attracting guys like this still? I still hadn't sorted this issue out in my life. So I said, there's got to be a group for this, right? So I look online and I come up with CODA. So I show up at the meeting and I sit there and it's very structured and everybody is like, my name is so and so and I'm codependent. I'm like, okay, first of all, why are we identifying ourselves by this issue that we're working with or struggling through or what have you? Okay, I don't know. So then I sit there and people go around and they share. And we're not supposed to give advice, which is probably a good idea because, I dare say I've given way too much advice in my life, and it's time to move into a different space. But actually, there's actually something in that. So I went the first time and I was like, I don't know if I'm really feeling this. And so I decided to go back because there was like some sort of event and I had agreed to bring some plasticware or something or so. So it's like, okay, eventually I'm gonna have to get over here and I'm gonna give these people these forks and spoons and things of that nature. So when I finally had an opportunity to do that, I sat there and I showed up after the meeting was over. And before, like, as I'm on my way to the meeting, I'm like, I really don't want to do this. It's really not working for me. And so I had to really think about, well, why is that? Um, and honestly, it's because there's there's sort of a viewpoint that in the anonymous like I guess the AA, all of these 12-step programs that are based on the 12 steps. I looked at the first step and I said, okay, I am powerless over whatever it is, fill in the blank. Powerless? I don't do powerless. So I'm like, okay, when was I ever powerless over, as with codependence is like, I'm powerless over the relationship with other people or something of the sort. And so I'm thinking back, I'm like, okay, I can't really think of any time in my life where I was particularly powerless over my behavior with respect to somebody or some thing, like I guess if it was alcohol, it would be the substance. But like, okay, I'm powerless over this. I'm not powerless. I've never been powerless. It's always been a choice. I'm like, okay, so why was I dealing with codependency anyway? I was raised to be codependent. I was actually taught and socially conditioned that this is the way that you get along in the world. I don't think that's a good idea anymore, after 42 years of dealing with my mother, I'm like, this is not working for you or me. So let's find another way to be, right? But the like in the anonymous, the Codependents Anonymous, everybody, it's sort of an acceptance of the issue. And I'm like, okay, you can accept it at some point, but at the next point, once you've accepted it, then do get rid of it. Codependency is a viewpoint, it's a perspective. And I realized, I'm like, as I sat there and I listened to people tell their stories, and they're like, oh, the struggle, and there's just so much embracing of the struggle. It's like this passion of the Christ sort of flow that's real heavy. I'm like, and so and I didn't want to say anything. Like, you don't want to stand out in your first meeting and say, this is curable, right? You can just kind of look at things a little bit differently. But so I wrote my name on the list of, here was my compromise. I'm like, yeah, I really want to help people or whatever. So on the phone list, I was like, okay, so people can call me between this time and that time. So, but what I'm going to tell, if anybody dares to call me, I'm coming at them as a life coach, because that's really, it's all about, I was like, okay, I can't be a life coach and codependent at the same time, because coaching is all about empowering the individual to find their own inner strength. And codependency is about looking at people as if they're sick and you have to rescue them and whatever. I'm like, hey, these two things don't go together. But guess what's a cure for codependency, right? And the other part, of course, is IST. And that's integrated soul technology, which is something that was created by a woman named Crystal Hughes. And she actually taught this skill to me. So I'm certified in integrated soul technology. And what that does is, if you find that the viewpoint of codependency or whatever it is that you're struggling with is too emotionally stuck and nailed to you, like, okay, your inner psychotic murderer comes out and stabs you in the heart and puts you in the hospital every time you contemplate changing a particular behavior, okay, yeah, it's probably nailed. It's nailed in. So you use this process to move through that, and flush out all of those energies that are making it too difficult for you to change the behavior. And then after you've, taken the edge off with that, then you go and you change the behavior. So the coaching mindset, I find, which is very empowering, not only for the coach, but also for the person being coached, just really sorts it all out. Because I went to CodeA and I was like, we've gotten rid of the codependent necessity. Now it's like, okay, what do I replace it with? So how do I have healthy relationships? Because I don't know too many people who have healthy relationships. As a matter of fact, closely, I don't know any. It's like everybody's crazy, right? Coaching mindset. It's like, hey, train to be a life coach if you really want to just kick this whole perspective to the curb. But anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you all. If you are struggling with codependency, and you're wanting to just work with, okay, how do I keep this issue and get along? And that just might be what you're doing. Then by all means, do Codependents Anonymous, because that will help you move through the struggle while you're in the struggle. But if you're ready to just kind of kick it to the curb, then I would recommend IST and coaching mindset. Get some life coaching. It's great. That's just what I would suggest. If you're interested in any of those things, drop a comment below. At any rate, please like this video if you like it and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys when I have another adventure to share. Take care, everybody. Be well.